injection and some of the results that we have already from our sugarcane aphid trial in forage sorghum here at Maricopa Ag Center. Last time I have this kind of presentation, I shared with you mostly like the 2018 and some of the 19, and briefly give you some idea of what we are planning for 2020. Today, I would like to share with you what we have in terms of 2019, which was odd year for this crop, not only for sorghum, but for almost all of our crops. And what we did so far in 2020, it is not completely full, especially like the yield. We are planning to take the yield quite soon, but I'll share with you some of the results we have so far. It's as we just did them just over the last few days, so it's very quick and dirty, but it gives some idea of the situation and what we have and the situation for this pest. So the sugarcane aphid, this insect came to Arizona in 2016, the summer of 2016, and it just swiped the whole state, and now it's like swiped like almost the half southern of the country from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And it's quite adaptive insect. And this is the insect as we see it, is like aphid shape, if that is something. It's yellow in color, and it has some of these distinguished characteristics like the darker antenna, the darker tips of the legs, and the dark cornicles at the end of the body. This is not the only insect that we can, or not the only aphid we can find in sorghum. Actually, we can find some early season aphids like the green bugs and cornleaf aphids. These two insects can be found early in the season. They are not that harmful to the crop. We are monitoring them year after year, like from even before the arrival of sugarcane aphid, and they are not that injurious to sorghum. And it sounds like both of them don't like our heat that much. So once it heats up, we cannot find them in our field. But they are there, and most of the time very early in the sorghum season here in Arizona. Sampling and action threshold for sugarcane aphid is something that's not fully developed. There is many factors that they are playing on, and there are many thresholds that have been developed mostly like in the South, mostly also on grain sorghum, which we don't have much of it here in Arizona. Most of what we have is forage sorghum. It's quite important tool to determine when we spray. And it's quite variable, as I said, even within the state, not only, and even within a certain region. And as I said, it have been, many of these action thresholds have been developed on grain sorghum, but we are trying to adapt them to some of our forage sorghum as well. The threshold will be effective if we are using them in a right way, and in the same time, if we be consistent in using one of the thresholds that I'm giving example of them here. One of them is we spray, or it could be justifiable to spray when 25% of like the plant in your sample are infected within a minimum of 50 aphid per leaf. We use these sometimes, and we are a little bit bump this number of 50 aphid to maybe 75 to 100 because of the difference of forage sorghum that we have here in Arizona. Another example is to spray when the field reach a level of 50 to 125 sugarcane aphid per leaf. And for this specific example, we are leaning more toward the upper limit of this threshold. So we are merely leaning toward more of the, like the 100 per leaf. Another example is to spray or it could be justifiable to spray when 20 to 30%, especially when we are like at the fruit stage or later, of plants are infested with localized area with some of the honeydew and established colony are present. And this is also work when you have a spot or a hot spot in your field. Because from our experiment and our observation commercial field, this insect can start as like a localized spot in the field, but it can spread quite fast. And when you have this local area with this hotspot infestation of sugarcane aphid, that's a very big sign that you should be ready very, very soon to act and to get the spray in your field. This is also like one of the methods that have been we are using quite a lot to sample sugarcane aphid and sorghum. It have been established in Texas, and although they have it established there and there is publication about it, but so far for some reason the link here, which is like the link for the this website here that I'm hovering over, this is not working anymore. But we are. I tried to contact some of the people there to find out if they have another website, but it already published in some other publication by some other of our colleagues at Texas A&M. Here it depends on giving, grading of the infestation of sugarcane aphid associated with a range for that. So you have A, P, C until F, and the further you go in the alphabet, the more infestation, more a higher number of sugarcane aphid you have per leaf. We are using this method here, and I showed this video with you guys before, and I hope we can get this video to work this time.
I don't believe we have the sound.
Do you have the sound?
It's not coming at our end. When you share, you need to tick the box that says use computer audio. So you might have to reshare.
A random leaf, you may have much more. Welcome to our sugarcane aphid and sorghum trial at the Maricopa Ag Center. Today we are going to show you how we sample our plots for sugarcane aphid populations. Note that our plots are obviously much smaller than one of your fields, so the fact that I am taking maybe 1 to 2 steps between choosing a random leaf, you may have much more space in between each leaf that you sample. We sample from somewhere between our knee and our hip, and we pick a random leaf to sample, scan the leaf for populations, and once we find populations, we can compare them to our aphid quick checker and take a note of what letter that corresponds to. That first leaf, as you saw, would be about an A. Our next area, again, turning over a random leaf and finding more populations. Instead of individually counting, we compare that to our aphid quick checker and denote that that is somewhere around a D. We go for a third leaf, choosing a random leaf, scanning the entire leaf, finding populations, comparing that to our aphid quick checker, and noting that that leaf is somewhere around a B. We go to our fourth leaf, find a random leaf, check populations, and we compare to our aphid quick checker and see that that leaf is somewhere between a D and an E. And then finally, we'll find a fifth leaf, scan for populations, check our aphid quick check, and note that those populations are around an A. This would conclude one quadrant checking in the field. Again, noting that I only took maybe 2 or 3 steps in between each random leaf, whereas a quadrant of your field, you may be taking anywhere from 80 to 100 steps in between checking your random leaves. Thank you.
Thank you. You might see now how this aphid checker, quick aphid checker is working, and it has been very helpful for us for the last few years. It gave very accurate number in terms of the population of sugarcane aphid. We compared that to our full leaf count. We used to take the sample and count them all, and the comparison between the two in terms of how much accuracy, quite stunning. They are almost identical, and it was really good to know that this method, although it's simpler than counting everything, is still very accurate, and we can depend on it. One of the things that, or one of the strategies that have been proved to work in terms of mitigate the sugarcane aphid population, or even like, let's say, give the crop a chance to escape this population, is early planting of sorghum here in Arizona. We have that for many years. We almost run it from 2017 to 2019. We have early planting, and we barely find any of the sugarcane aphid there. So it's working quite well. You might find, some early season green bugs or cornleaf aphid, but they are not doing any significant damage or problem or injury to the crop. So it really works. The catch here is you need to know your variety, and you need to know a variety that can give you the same or even better yield. We tried that. We are not like very good agronomists, but we tried and we found, some varieties can be giving, a little bit of less yield, some a little bit of more yield if we plant them early. So this should be in the play when you choose to plant early for sorghum to escape the sugarcane aphid population that normally in our Arizona condition here comes late in the season. Now for like the 2019 sugarcane aphid trials that we have in sorghum, beside the early planting trial, we have 2 different approaches to manage sugarcane aphid in sorghum. One is the foliar treatment. This is just to spray overcasting the plant, and it happened, and we have this kind of treatment when we have the population, and we are using all of these methods and the thresholds that we are using to justify any of these treatment. In 2019, we have this regimen of chemicals that we tested. We have Svantoprime at 2 rates at 4 and 7 ounce per acre, Centric at 2.5 and 3.4 ounce per acre, Transform also at 2 rate of 1 and 1.5 ounce, and Safina 6 ounce. We heard the news that there is some registration for Safina. I think they are working on the state paperwork quite soon. And we have Lorspan Advance at 32 ounce per acre plus the untreated check. Other approach or the other method that we are using is a combination of injection of Sivanto. In 2019, we used Sivanto Prime for the injection. So we have this injection at planting time, and that combined with foliar treatment when at the same time when the population arrived to this trial. In 2019, it was really odd year. We started, a little bit warm, and then it became cold, and then later in the season it warmed up again. It was again in terms of the weather, it was quite odd year, and that affects the population and affect the timing of application as well this year. We planted almost on June 6th for these 2 trials, and at the time it was also the In-furrow injection for the seed. But we didn't notice the population until like late in September. It was September 27th when we applied the foliar application for both the foliar only and for the injection and foliar in 2019. Not only that, but this is here like the data that we have for 2019. As you can see, we have, this is more of accumulative seasonal population of sugarcane aphid per leaf. And you can see we have some of the products that they are working quite good. We have like the Sivanto, higher rate, Lorspan, Centric, Safina, and even like Sivanto at lower rate. But if you look here at the x-axis, this is one thing that I would like to keep attention to, because we'll compare that to 2020. Here we have, this is more of like the accumulate population that from the beginning or after the application until the end of the season. As you see, even like with the highest, it didn't reach 160, 170 all together. That's quite low population. This is maybe like the lowest population of sugarcane aphid we have. And although like we have these differences among the treatment, like most of them, if we take like only a weekly sampling of each of these treatment, they barely, like very few of them passed like the 75 threshold that we bought for a number of aphid per leaf that we can put the application there. And that showed in term of the yield. Here, this is the yield from this application of the foliar trial. And although there is like some numerical difference here, but the statistical analysis shows that there is no significant difference among the yield here. And we can tell that's maybe from this lower population than expected. When we have this population and when it showed up in our trial, we thought that with warmer weather it will bump up, but sound like it came quite late for the stage of the plant, and also for some of the weather which cooled down a little bit later in the season as well. So that's for this foliar application trial in 2019. Another application that we did in 2019 and did also in 2020 is the in-furrow injection of the seed bed at planting time. And we used here, if you look here, we have like a short nozzle here that we are just attached to the planter behind the pressing wheel. And this is a single hole nozzle that we are using to shot the injection into the seed bed and furrow at the time of planting. And here we have like a short video here. This is the nozzle here. This is the thing that you should focus on while I'm running the video now. And you can see it just shot this single hole spray into the bed at the time. So I'll just run it again without my voice so you guys can look at them. Okay, so this is like the in-furrow injection result and foliar application of sugarcane aphid in 2019. Again, if you look at the x-axis here, you'll see the same pattern that we have, quite lower population, but in terms of the efficacy of this product here, we can see like the prime injection, especially the two higher rate, are working in reducing the population quite significantly, as well as the combination of injection of Sivanto and the transform foliar application, which also worked good in terms of this situation here when we have very late population that was there for shorter time, and some of these products that can are able to knock this population down worked quite well on them. And the yield here again, you can see like some of ups and downs, but when we run our statistical analysis for this yield, we found that there is not much significant difference among yield here in 2019. Again, odd year, very late population, and it didn't last for longer, and the weather pattern also did a lot in mitigating this population here. Now into like 2020, and again, as I said, we didn't finish this trial yet. We didn't get the yield. Hopefully, we get it within a week or so. But this is the like aerial image for these trials here. The area that we have the foliar treatment, as you can see the plots there, and the injection, the in-furrow injection as well of Sivanto. For the foliar treatment, we used the same product that we used in 2019. In terms of the in-furrow injection, we use the new formula of Sivanto, the Sivanto HL. This is a formula that has the double active ingredient, and that's why our rates here became like 4, 2, and 1 ounce per acre for the injection of in-furrow with Sivanto instead of like the 8, 4, 2 in the Sivanto Prime formula. And the same pattern here, the same method, we used injection of Sivanto only at planting, injection of Sivanto at planting combined with 2.5 ounce of Centric 40, and combination also of the Sivanto HL injection with 1.5 ounce of transform. And we have like the foliar application of Centric only and transform only, plus the untreated check. The 2020 showed us, although like the weather pattern is quite favorable for the growing of the sugarcane aphid population, but it showed us how localized this population could be. Even as you see in the picture here, they were just adjacent to each other. But what we have here, we planted both at the same time and only like 1 day different from 2019. But we found the population in the injection trial earlier than the foliar one. And that, prompted our decision to apply the foliar application for injection trial on August 24th. That's almost more than a month compared to 2019. The application for the foliar application only came around September 9. And again, it's almost like 3 weeks earlier than into what we have in 2019. That shows you how this population can be different from year to year. Not only that, even within the same year, within the same piece of land, as you can see here in our plot here, you can find differences among plots and among treatment as well. Here, these are like some pictures. This is just came out of the field in the last couple of days and showed here some of the comparison between some of the plots of the untreated, like this one here, and one of the rates, like the 6 ounce. You can tell from the color of the leaf how different this treatment are, as well as here. This is just happened to be side by side. Cevantoprime at 7 ounce per acre and the untreated check. You can see the difference between the two here. This is a comparison, as I said, of some of the plots at the foliar trial that's still at MAC. So if you have time and you would like to see the whole thing at MAC, you can just let us know and we'll be happy to show you the trial, and we'll keep all the distance there. We have as much distance as we can, and we can help like on individual basis if you would like to see this much trial before we harvest them soon. Another set here of comparison with picture. This is for the In-furrow injection trial here. On this picture here, you can see the difference between the injection of Cevanto HL at the higher rate and the Cevanto at the lower rate without any foliar. You can tell like the high rate is still doing a little better than the lower rate. Another comparison here to this picture on your right, when you have like the Cevanto and Centric, both the injection and the foliar application compared to the untreated check just happen to be side by side here. And you can tell from the color of the leaf here, as well as the bottom picture here. Again, you have injection of Cevanto HL combined with the foliar application of Transform and the untreated with no injection, no foliar. Again, it's very telling, but we have only also the result here. And this is from the foliar so far. And this very long season, we have until 46 days and still counting. And you can see like many of the selective insecticide like Transform, Cevanto, working quite good in terms of like suppressing the population, as well as some of the lower span advanced too. The thing that we see is that we have good control early in the season with the 2 rates of Centric, but with the prolonged season, somehow it is not doing as well as previous years. So this is something we want to continue to investigate for the upcoming years as well. So this is for the foliar application and the sugar. Now for the injection and foliar together. And this was really like some of the years that we have the effect as we saw in previous year. Here in the bottom here of this slide, you have the 3 rates, the higher rate of Cevanto HL injection plus Centric and Transform. And they are working quite good in suppressing the population. One of the things that I would like you to notice is look at the x-axis here and see how the population can, in some cases, exceed 2,000 per leaf for some of the treatment. In 2019, we barely find 200. So it's in 2020, this is maybe like 10 times in terms of the population we have. So we have the higher rate of Centric working quite well as injection plus the foliar. followed by the mid-rate of Sevento HL, the 2 ounce, and also either alone or with the foliar application. And then you have the Sevento, the lower rate with either alone or with the foliar application compared to the untreated and the foliar only. It tell like the injection is working. So far, we don't have the injection as labeled yet. Hopefully, there is some effort to get them labeled as well. So now I would like to share with you some of these like videos that we just took as our virtual tour. I'll stop sharing this presentation for now, and we will share the video and we'll get in from there. So the first trial, we are just flying over with our drone on one of our replication at Maricopa Ag Center. And first we are flying over like an untreated area and untreated buffer. And you can see from the top, it's quite yellow, very dry. And then we hit some green area here. This is of the foliar application of Transform at 1.5 ounce. You can tell the difference between this and previous one. Another good foliar application with Safina at 6 ounce per acre. Again, Sevento Prime at the 4 ounce for foliar application. Centric at the higher rate, 3.4 ounce. And the lower rate of Sevento at 4 ounce, this Sevento Prime. This is the formula that we used for the foliar. Lower rate of centric. And lower span advanced. The lower rate of Transform, 1 ounce. Again, it happened, we have another application of Safina in this run. And this is untreated. You can see the difference. And Transform 1 ounce per acre. And this is the higher rate of Sevento Prime. And another Transform at 1.5 ounce. Centric 2.5. And the lower rate of Sevento Prime at 4 ounce per acre. And this is one of the untreated buffer at the end of this feed. So this was like the foliar application. This is hopefully as close to being in the field as possible. And we're going to also share another run for the injection, the In-furrow injection. Again, the same thing, flying over with the drone, and we will have the labels on each of these trials. Again, this is untreated. And this foliar application only of transform. This is the injection of the low rate of 7-HL, the 1 ounce, without any foliar application. And this is the 2 ounce of 7-HL injection with 1.5 ounce of transform foliar application. This is the high rate of 7-HL injection, 7-HL 4 ounce without foliar. And this is 4 ounce of 7-HL injection plus the transform foliar application at 1.5. And this is the 2 ounce of 7-HL injection without foliar. And again, this is the 4 ounce of 7-HL injection with the foliar application of 2 ounce of centric. This is a foliar application only of transform at 1.5. Both like the injection of 7-HL at 1 ounce and the transform 1.5 as foliar. Is 7-HL 1 ounce injection without foliar. And this is untreated, nothing, no foliar application, no injection at all. And this is the 2.5 of centric foliar only. And this is a 2 ounce of injection of 7-HL and the centric as foliar application at 2.5 ounce. Again, injection of 7-HL at 4 ounce and the centric at 2.4 ounce. And the injection of the high rate of 7-HL 4 ounce plus the 1.5 of foliar application of transform. And this injection of 7-HL at 4 ounce only without any foliar here. And I think this would be the final untreated blot here, buffer at the end of the plot. So the thing that we would like here to mention, hopefully, and to be able to draw some thing here is to compare these 2 years and previous years as well to see how the population, when it come early or later in the season, might impact the crop and how that's happening, and even can impact the efficacy of the product itself, because you are here have different situation, different numbers. And the other thing is how all of the weather patterns are working with this insect. This insect, we know it has really significant potential, reproduction potential, and can increase their population in very short time. But we need to have a better grasp on how the weather pattern, especially temperature, can impact this population, and hopefully this variation among year will give us better understanding of how this insect is working. Now, just quick reminder of the what we can do in terms of how to can manage this sugarcane aphid. We know this insect now established in our state and now control other hosts, like actually all other sorghum, because this insect can infest all of the sorghum as a species or a genus here. So controlling Johnson grass and the other sorghum species around the field, especially when we don't have sorghum, it's quite important to avoid an overwinter sites for this insect. As we see, plant early can avoid the infestation, and it sounds like it's working. So you need to make your homework in terms of which variety you would like to use and to plant when you are planting early. Count early and often. This is something we don't, or we use not to do it with sorghum, but now it became a must with this insect. We normally don't want this insect to or their population to develop, because they can be very large population in very short time. So we need to figure out whether we have this hotspot in the field, and we can count that and justify our application. We need to see if this population is distributed, and we can use other methods like counting the leaves and see what is our mean numbers there. So common sense here is quite important, especially when we have this different weather pattern and the number of in the field, and how we can like get ourselves to be ready to either do something or doing nothing. Sometimes a decision of doing nothing is a decision. We need to use this effective insecticide, and preferably if we can use something soft and selective so we can preserve the beneficial. Yeah, this can be overwhelming for even a large number of beneficial, but if we have a smaller number and we made the bad decision of let's spray some pyrethroid, for example. Pyrethroid is not working on this insect, but can affect beneficial. And we can end up with this small population of this sugar aphid, but without any of the beneficial that can manage them, and all of a sudden we'll have an outbreak, and that's not be good. And we need to have good coverage for the sugarcane aphid for control. This is quite important in terms of the management of these insects. Oops. So I think with that, I would like to thank all of the people involved in this, and the funding that came from different sources here of funding, and industry representative to provide us with their update. Each of them will give a quick either presentation or talk about whatever they want to update us about their product, and everything will start with Karen Geldmacher with Americot, and she will give us her update. Karen, are you available?
Hi, Ayman. I sure am.
Here you go. I can hear you. And if you want to like start your presentation or talk, we are all up here.
Now what? Okay, so then what?
Just before Karen start, I just want to mention, don't forget that we have this end of meeting quiz for the CEO, and to make sure that we are all